In this video, we will look at the powerful audio matrix functionalities of the Netvio matrix line. These include audio de-embed, audio return channel, and audio matrixing or free routing. In this example, we're using an MX HT2 040410 matrix. Please check the specification of your matrix to see which features of this demonstration are supported. Once logged in to the project config screen using the Netvio 360 software, you will see that the target router only include video switching. In order to see the audio routing, select the audio filter and then expand your endpoints to see the individual audio inputs and outputs available on your matrix. This particular matrix has HDMI audio in, as well as analog and digital audio inputs for each of the 4 inputs. On the outputs, we can see HD-Base-T and HDMI audio out, left-right analog and digital audio outputs on the matrix, the HD-Base-T audio return input, and also the HDMI audio return in. Right now, in the default state, you will note that audio follows video on every switch command. We're not able to utilize the individual audio routing functionality. We must switch this on in the settings for this to be used. Even when I used the audio switch, the video followed. In order to change this, select your outputs and then select the audio settings. Here you will see your audio linking, ports for audio return, and audio output settings. Firstly, we will look at audio de-embedding. In order to enable this so that the audio outputs of the matrix, instead of de-embedding the audio currently playing in the zone output, it will embed the audio from the source input, the HDMI or analog or digital inputs, effectively enabling you to use an external or third-party audio matrix. In order to enable this, simply disable the analog and SPDIF output link to main zone. Once applied, ensure that your input turn to ticks so that you can see it is definitely applied. Now, when we route video, you will see that the audio from the HDMI input remains routed to the analog and digital outputs of the corresponding audio out. Next, we will look at audio return channel. To use audio return channel, use the same audio linking configuration with HD-Base-T HDMI output audio follow video on and analog and SPDIF output link to main zone off. Underneath, you will find your port settings for audio return. Select whether the HD-Base-T RX takes audio return audio from the SPDIF input or over the HDMI link, and also if you're using the HDMI outputs on the matrix, you can enable or disable HDMI audio return channel here. Instead of linking the input HDMI audio to an output, we now look to send either the HD-Base-T or HDMI audio return to the analog or digital outputs. Now, when I switch content from one input to another output, the HD-Base-T audio return will remain linked to the analog and digital outputs in the zone. You'll note in the settings there is information about the supported formats that audio linking can handle. So for audio return channel to the analog ports, only PCM 2-channel may be used. To the digital ports, 2-channel, 5.1, Dolby Stereo, Dolby 5.1 and DTS 5.1 may be used, but not 7.1 formats such as DTS-X and Dolby Atmos. Finally, we will use the full audio matrix capability with full audio routing. To enable this, disable audio follow video and enable analog SPDIF output link to main zone. With this enabled, we can now route any audio input to any output, independent of the video routing. So you will see here the lounge still has its video routed from input 1, whilst its audio is now coming from the HDMI of input 2, or we could simply route it from the left-right audio in to enable full audio matrix functionality. The last setting that we can do is to disable both, where we would be using free routing whilst also using audio de-embed from the zones as well. However, this will limit how much audio routing you can do, but is still useful if you are using a third-party audio matrix but still want to be able to route different audio signals to displays with the Netvio Go app. Once free audio routing has been enabled in the matrix audio settings, you will find a new icon on the right of source selection to enable selection of audio within the zone. The current source playing audio has the speaker highlight. Simply press the speaker button and select the source you wish the audio to come from. You will also find details on how to enable audio routing and the audio matrix functionality on third-party control systems in the Netvio API, which can be downloaded from netvio.co.uk.